Hello, hello, everyone. I am here. Let me get my comments all pulled up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It has been so long since I've been live with you guys. I hope everyone can hear. Let me know where you are watching from, what state you're in, what school you're at, and what age group you actually work with. And we are going to get started in just a second. Again, I'm Carolyn Green, and this is one of our hot topics. As you guys can see, I don't have my normal hot topic screen up today, but we're still going to dive in and we're going to talk about the teacher command and getting you organized in your classroom. So, I'm going to give you guys some awesome ideas, some tips on organizing yourself in your preschool classroom, and I really hope that it helps to bring in the organization of your teacher supplies, your classroom activities, and your learning center. So, we're going to talk about those three components tonight. So, again, go ahead and let me know who's on the live. If you're watching this on a playback, hashtag playback so that I know that you have watched. I want to kick off by saying happy Teacher Appreciation Week, and I will be dropping little nuggets this week. Yes, Rebecca, I am back. I am back. I'm actually not in my studio, but I am back this week, and I had to make sure I went live this week to celebrate all the teachers around the world who support Training You to Succeed and who supports me as an advocate for early childhood teachers. So tonight we're going to talk about organization, but like I was saying, I am very grateful to my whole community. Thank you guys for all that you do each and every day for young children. I am super excited to work with such amazing teachers across the United States and now in several other countries who listen to these podcasts and they fully understand that I want to help you grow in your classroom. I want to see you become leaders, be great at what you do, advocate for children, and pour into them every single day. And I know as an early childhood professional that it can be very hard. Your environment, different things, different centers, different situations. But what I want to do is raise a group of teachers and help them to understand that no matter where you work, no matter what center you're at, you can still make a difference and you can still make a change. So I celebrate all of you this week. I'm not sure how many of you got to use the gift card that I put up. Again, thousands of teachers went at this gift card early. I mean, I posted it and then within seconds it was just like, and I'm like, oh my God, they spent all the money already. So I did add some more to it. So hopefully some of you guys who did not get a chance to use the Starbucks gift card will be able to use it. But I will also this week be adding more things and more gifts just to celebrate the teachers and our community and all that you do for the children that you work with. So tonight is a little bit of a different training. It's really working with you as a teacher. It will help give you some tips for your classrooms. I am going to drop some resources in the comments afterwards for you guys to click on. I am going to talk about tools that you can use, and this part of the training is where teachers have to kind of take responsibility for their classroom and talk to their directors, talk to their owners to find out if they can bring outside resources or if they are allowed to purchase these resources for their classroom. Yes, I'm going to give you tips of things that you can do, but remember that you still have to get those things approved by your manager, your owner, your supervisor, because there are some centers that do not allow you to buy outside things for your classroom. And then there are some centers that's like, okay, whatever is yours, you take it, whatever it may be. And so I know that this is going to be, different situations for different teachers. But again, these are suggestions and tools for your classroom. If your center allows you to purchase these things for your classroom, amazing. And some of you may have to come out of your pocket, but talk to your center and ask them what the policy is on it, so that if you need to take it with you whenever you leave, you can. If not, leave it there and just kind of start over. I've worked at many centers during my time of working in early childhood field, and I rarely took things with me unless it's something that it was like something that meant a lot to me. Then I would pack it up and take it, like my resource books and the books that I bought for my teacher center, not things that I put on the shelf for the kids. So understand that. Different centers have different rules, but I do want to kind of pour into you guys on teaching you how to get organized for your particular classroom. So, again, I'm super excited about being back tonight and going over this command station, the classroom command. So the reason why I named this training classroom command is because when you think about a command station, you think about that's what everything is controlled. And if the command station in the classroom, which is the teacher desk or the teacher closet or the teacher area, is not organizing together, the rest of the classroom will be disorganized and fall apart. I've been in classrooms and I've seen teachers preparing their lesson in circle time while the kids are sitting there waiting. And I've always told you guys, if you're not prepared, then when that child comes in and sits down at that circle time, you have a few seconds to capture them and draw them in. And if you do not capture them and draw them in, you've lost them for your circle time. So you have to take the time to make sure that you plan adequately for that. But when your stuff is disorganized, you can't find your scissors, you can't find your glue, you can't find this, you can't find that, it makes it very hard to teach a lesson or to implement things in the classroom. If you have not done your lesson plans or you have not sat down and got your supplies together, your command station will have your kids going all over the place because it is not under control. And so think of this training as making your command station organized and together. So I am going to give you guys a couple of tips. I'm going to give you guys a couple of tools, and then I'm going to tell you how I set up my classroom when I was a 3-year-old teacher. For you guys who don't know me, I've worked in every single age group from infancy all the way up to private kindergarten. I've been an assistant director, I've been a director, I've been an owner, I've been a cook, been a bus driver, and every role you can think of in the early childhood field, I've worked in that role and I've learned a lot over time. So I've helped my teachers to become organized, I've helped my directors, assistant directors to become organized, but I find such joy in helping teachers because I know that that is the biggest seller in the program. When a parent walks in and your classroom is flowing the way it's supposed to flow, it makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel like, goodness gracious, I am paying this money to have my child in this well productive classroom. But if things are all over the place and your classroom is disorganized and cluttery, it makes parents say, like, what do you do all day? Like, what's going on in this classroom? Is my child going to be clean? Are they going to be running around like a chicken with their head cut off like the teacher? If these things are going on in your classroom, then it's not a command station. It is actually just a discombobulated place where kids will feel out of control just as much as you feel out of control. So the more structure you provide, the more structure your kids will be. So the first tip I'm going to give you guys, and I am developing some tools, guys. It's some great things in the works that's going to be coming towards you. Is you have to have a great planner. Yes, there's a lesson plan book. Yes, your school may have a lesson plan book, but you have to have a planner for yourself and plan out, when are you going to work in your classroom? When are you going to switch out your centers? When are you going to do your lesson plans? When are you going to go to the store and get supplies for your activities? You have to have a teacher planner where you plan out everything that you do, whether it's staying like an hour late one day, whether you're going to take something home, like mapping out how you're going to organize your particular day. So if you need to do lesson plans, maybe one of those days is lesson planning just for your learning centers. Maybe it's lesson planning for your small group. Maybe the next day is lesson planning for your large group. What monthly holidays are actually coming up? So having a teacher planner that is dedicated to your classroom is so important. And I'm not talking about a lesson plan book. I'm talking about a time, a calendar where you set up time to work in your classroom. So when I was a 3-year old teacher, we did monthly themes. And I knew what my monthly theme was for the upcoming month. So on my current calendar, I would say, okay, I know I need to make these board games or these file folder games for my math center. I know I need to go ahead and ask parents for donations because I'm going to put a Starbucks in my dramatic play center. So I'm going to ask parents for cups and bags and different things so that I can put this center together. So when I sat down in my planner and I knew what I was going to do for the next month, which next month would be June, my summer and everything, I would pick the days that I would work on those things in the month of May for the month of June. What days I was going to stay late and rotate my toys in the classroom, what days I was going to come in early to do observations, what days I was going to work on planning out all my activities for circle times, whether it was cutouts or letters, things that I had to laminate. When was I going to actually go to the store and buy the things that I need for my classroom? And so it is really important that teachers have a planner for their classroom or for their teaching role. Without that, I would have been so lost in planning out my classroom. And when I looked at my planner and I flipped over to the next month, which we're going to say June, and I knew that National Watermelon Day was going to be coming up. I knew that, National Umbrella Day or whatever it was. I would start planning out my letters, typing out my memos, and doing all of that in the month of May so that when June rolled around, I had everything organized. And I'm going to tell you guys how I kept that organized and how I filed that away and how I made boxes and stuff like that for it. But my planner is what helped me to get through a lot of things that were coming up for the next month and a month beyond. So if you have not invested in a great planner, you need to get one. My favorite is the Happy Planner. The Teacher Happy Planner. And the reason why I like that one is because of the DISC, the DISC system that it has. And if I make something for you guys, like let's just say I made a planner sheet for you, you can actually use the hole puncher, punch it, and put it in your Happy Planner. Now I've gotten into the Erin Condren planner that I use for my personal self. I use the Life Planner. And so I'm really particular about laying out different things in planning because it helps me to see the bigger picture. And when I look at my teacher planner and I look at my personal planner and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to plan that activity for that day because I know I have a doctor's appointment. I'm not going to plan this activity because I know I'm going to be at a conference for 3 days and I don't want my sub to have to try to implement this activity. So when I'm planning and getting things under control, I can see the bigger picture of what's going on. I know when I'm going to work on small group activities and they are already prepared. So the second thing is to create a great filing system or to create a place to keep everything in order. So what I used to do is I used to have Ziploc bags, just regular Ziploc bags, and I would write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on them, Friday, Monday small group, Tuesday small group, do the same thing for my large group lesson, and I would keep all my activities in there, and then I would put them in a drawer for the 4 weeks. Like I had this color coded drawer system that I just bought. I put it in the corner of my classroom, and I would have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Then I had other enrichments in there as well. And I would take these Ziploc bags and I would write the day on there, whether it's large group or small group. And I would put my activities in there and plan that out. And when I was on week 3, of course, I might be on week 1. I would keep rotating. I would plan 2 weeks ahead of time, my activities so that my drawers would always be filled. And whoever came in my classroom could pull out my week 4 drawer, and all the activities that they need to implement what was on the lesson plan was in those drawers together. So I had a nice filing system for my activities. And when I was done with it, I would take all my activities and I would put them in a box, and I would put the month that was on it, and then I would just keep them. And the box that I actually used was like the photo box, the photo memory box that you find scrapbooking, and it was like, I mean, about this big, and then the lid popped up, and I would put all my activities in there, put the month on there, and file it away. Now, of course, at home, I had all these little boxes that was based on the month, but it helps me to go grab them, tweak activities, put things together so that I could have it for the next year if I was going to repeat that theme or repeat that learning area. But there in my command station, I had all of my drawers planned out: week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then the rest of my color coded drawers were for the learning centers or enrichments that I was going to put in there that I had made over time. And so having a great filing system so that you know what you're doing on Monday, what you're doing on Tuesday, what you're doing on Wednesday, what you're doing on Thursday, whether it's a small group activity, a large group activity, you're not sitting in circle time cutting out hearts for the kids to do an activity. Those things are already done and placed in your drawer and ready to go. If teachers really got a hold of that organization, you would feel so much better because you would have time to actually interact with the children as opposed to prepping during teaching time. And so that is the importance of having a nice filing system. Then another thing that I did when I made my planner, I would have my priority. What was a priority each day? So, what that looks like is if I knew that I had some types of observations that I had to get done because of parents, I knew I was going to have parent teacher conferences or different things like that. What I would actually do is look on my planner and say, okay, I know that I have a parent teacher conference on Friday. So today when we're in learning centers, I want to make sure that I get my observations done. And so I would highlight that in a yellow highlighter because I knew that that was a top priority. And no matter what, if I didn't get that large group or that small group lesson done today, here is my priority. If I knew that it was a monthly bulletin board that was coming up, it was a priority for me to get the work that actually goes on that bulletin board so that I can change my frames out and do all of that. So prioritizing tasks each day is so important, and making you a priority checklist. When you walk in that classroom and you're looking at your teacher planner and you know what has to get done, what is of top priority for the day? What are your top 5 things that you need to get done for the day? What's on the top of the list? Is it that bulletin board set? Is that number 1? Is it observations? Is it rotating this center? Is it doing a small group lesson? What 5 things are most important for you for the day? Is it teaching a kid a particular task that you know that you have to get done? Because it's like, okay, I know licensing is coming. These kids really don't know how to wash their hands properly. That's a priority. I need to make sure my kids have this down. They don't know how to go to the potty the right way. I need to get a task and teach them this for today. So those priority tasks and having a system for that is so important. I wake up in the morning and do it. And when I talk about the top 5 things, it may not be 5 things particularly for your classroom. Maybe one of those things is for your classroom. But that's how I prioritize my life. Like even on my phone, I'm like, okay, Carolyn, what has to get done today? What is the most important thing for today? At the end of the day, when you go to bed, what are the 5 things that you want to say, whew, I got that done, that was so important to me? And what are the things that can be rolled over to the next day? When I look at my planner, it helps me to prioritize those tasks. So if you don't have a great planner, let me know. Drop it in the comments. I will send you a coupon code or whatever it needs to be to get you a good happy planner, to get you a Erin Condren life planner, whatever it may be. Do you have a way of organizing things? Do you have a filing system in your classroom? Like I said, I love the cart with the colorful drawers on there. I'll put the link in there to the one that I bought from Amazon, and I labeled them week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and everything was particularly labeled. Like if anybody goes into my area, they know that everything has a spot. Like it's particularly labeled. That's my filing system. I like it that way. It keeps me in control. It keeps me organized. Then I have my checklist to prioritize my tasks. Like, what am I doing today? What's going on? And I ask teachers that all the time. What is your goal for today when you go into your classroom? Is it just to survive? Because if that's your goal, to just survive, that's all you're going to do is survive. What are you focused on? What is at the top? And this has to do with getting not just your classroom organized, but getting your mind organized, getting your mind together before you go in and work with kids. Creating checklists. All right, so I love my checklist. All right, checklist for everything, whether it's a learning center checklist. Hey, have I rotated the toys this month, this week? Have I made teacher made enrichments? If you're an NAEYC center, you should be making teacher enrichments for your classroom at least 2 to 3 each week to kind of add to the activities that are all already there. I will be doing a detailed workshop on this hot topic on teacher made enrichments because I think it is key to having a productive learning center and having the learning centers in the classroom. Have you visited that learning center and worked with kids inside of that center? A checklist for yourself, either a daily checklist, a weekly checklist, a monthly checklist for your classroom so that you are never behind on anything that is corporate related, whether you have a privately owned center, whether it's cleanliness. And so a lot of centers do have your daily, your closing checklist, your opening checklist. But what about a checklist for yourself? Have you created a checklist for yourself to say, like, hey, these are the things that I have to make sure are done every single day to ensure that my classroom is productive? I do that. When I make my 5 things that I'm going to do for the day, I create a checklist and I say, okay, these are important, but what do I have to get done in order to accomplish these tasks that I'm doing? And as teachers, I think that we kind of just like put that on the back burner and we're just like in there, just all willy nilly in the classroom. It's just like, okay, whatever happens today, happens today. I feel like I'm a teacher of wild things whenever I work with staff because they're just like, I'm just here. And it's like, whoa, what are you doing today? Like, what is your goals for today? How are you going to accomplish that? What about, well, if I have to come and tell you, like, hey, observations are due this month, that should be on your monthly checklist. Hey, you're supposed to post on Tadpoles or Brightwheel or Smart Care. You need to post several times a day. Why not have a checklist to say, okay, yes, I did post these things, I got this done. Take the time and look at your overall role and your overall position and say, what are the things that I know need to get done that I don't have a checklist for, but I keep forgetting and I keep having to go back over to it and create that checklist for your classroom. Um, Declutter your space and make sure that everything has a home. Everything needs a home. Even in your learning centers, they need to be labeled. Pictures need to be there. If it doesn't have a home, find a home for it. It should never be a junk drawer in your classroom or a junk cabinet. Everything needs to be organized and labeled. You need to have your art supply area for where you rotate art supplies. You need to have your teacher pens and your teacher notepads all in one spot labeled teacher resources. Everything needs a home and no one should have a decluttered classroom. Go in your classroom, look on top of the cubby shelves. Is there clutter up there? Look on top of your teacher cabinet. Is it cluttered? Can you even open up your cabinets without stuff falling out of it? When is the last time you went into a center and looked at the toys and make sure that they have all the pieces to them and that all the puzzle pieces are together? Take the time to declutter your classroom and have a home for every single thing. And these are some important tips to make your command station the place that you want to be. Now, when we're talking about all of these things, the teacher planner and everything, here's some things that I did in just like in my classroom. If I had a theme that I knew was coming up, I created a theme box. I would get like a clear shoe box and I would put what the theme is in it. And everything that I made for that theme would go into that box at the end of the unit. I would put the lid on it and I would store it away. If I didn't have room in my classroom, I had a shelf in my garage that I kept all my theme boxes on because I'm like invested. I'm an early childhood teacher. I'm gonna always use them no matter what. It's going to rotate, and so I would have a place to actually keep them. If you don't need that many resources, then you can actually get you like a large one of those big Ziploc bags that they sell at the dollar store and put everything in it, and then they'll lay flat and you can put them in a cabinet and store them that way, as long as you're able to find your resources. If your school is not thematic based and you're going based on levels, so like if you have a shapes, numbers, colors, when you go through those units and things in your math center or in your science center, the activities that you actually make, you can make a bag for that that says shape activities, matching, so that you can always go back I use crates with hanging file folders. And when I made these teacher made enrichments and put them in Ziploc bags, I put them in that crate in that file folder and kept them organized so that when I needed to pull out a shape activity, because I saw kids struggling with shapes and I needed to put it back in my math center, I had that Ziploc bag or that activity box that had all of those materials in it. And I would bring it back into my learning centers and use them as teacher made enrichments. And for you guys who don't know what a teacher made enrichment is, it's kind of like, let's just say you had some regular old Unifix cubes, and then you actually made pattern cards to go with the Unifix cubes, or you had them make not just patterns, but they can make shapes with the Unifix cubes, or you had a counting activity to go with the Unifix cube. Those are like teacher made enrichments. There are things that you add to the center to enhance it, to make it better. If you're turning your dramatic play center into a grocery store, or you're turning it into a music museum, that is called an enrichment. You're enhancing that area to make it better. And so each week when you're doing your lesson plans or you're planning out your environment, you should have a space to ask yourself, what three teacher made enrichments am I going to make each week? So, to kind of give you an overview of a planning sheet that I actually use, and I'm actually in the process of creating this, and everyone in my community will get a copy of it, print it, hole punch it with your happy planner, hole punch it, and put it in there. So I had a spot Monday through Friday where I would write out what I am doing for my large group and small group activity and what supplies I needed in that box. Under that, I had each one of my learning centers listed and what was I doing in that learning center. Then I have a box down the side of my three teacher made enrichments for the week. Then I had a supply list for the week, and then I had a section for anecdotal notes and notes that I actually made on children, who I needed to reach out to, who do I need to do a skills assessment on for that week. And I kept that there. And then I had along the side of it a checklist of things that I know needed to happen for that particular week. And at the very bottom, bulletin board ideas or environmental ideas for postings. And so when I tell you I planned out my week, like 3 weeks in advance, I knew what I was doing in my large group, my small group, all seven of my learning centers, what kids I was going to be observing and what assessments I was going to be doing with them, what bulletin boards or documentation of learning was I going to put up for the week. I already knew that because my activities that I planned, I said, okay, we're reading this book Pinkalicious, right? And so I'm going to do this whole Pinkalicious display. And so I'm going to take pictures of reading books with the kids. I'm going to take pictures of the activities, and I'm going to do this whole documentation of learning on Pinkalicious. Hey, we're going to the form and we're going to talk about the form. I'm going to put this activity into my dramatic play center. I'm going to do this inside of my block center. I am going to do this documentation of learning. I'm going to show the kids how to make butter. And so we're going to go through the process. I'm going to ask them open-ended questions. I knew what my week looked like. So my question to you, do you know what your week is going to look like? Is your classroom, can you find things in your classroom? Do you know where all your supplies is? Are you looking for things right before you do a lesson? Or is it all together? And I would highly encourage you having a spring cleaning day for your classroom. Talk to your director, talk to your owner, and say, hey, a 4-hour workshop, and we're going to get to the nitty gritty, and we're going to get in here, and we're going to clean our classrooms. I shut down my center a whole week every year in September, and that's all my teachers do is pull out everything, reorganize it, and get it ready for the school year. And we also do that several times throughout the year. And if you have not done that yourself as a teacher, you know how like there's sometimes that you're like, oh, well, I don't get paid to do that. I'm not going to do that. But if you actually invest your time into getting your classroom organized without worrying about getting paid, you're actually going to get paid on the back end, in that your days are going to be easier. And trust you me, I would surely rather have a easier day working with children and everything be together than to worry about if my employer is going to pay me to get my classroom organized. That to me, that investment of my time in that will pay off in how my kids behave over the next month, the next 6 weeks, all of that. So take that time and look at your classroom, look around. Hey, when was the last time I really cleaned up the math center? So maybe Monday is your math center day. And so while the kids are playing in centers, you're going to be like, hey, the math center is under construction today. And then you're setting it up, cleaning it up. On Wednesday, you might say, oh, it's the block center. Let me go in and see what blocks are in there. How can I enhance these blocks? Maybe I can wrap some of them in foil. Maybe I can put some texture or sandpaper. Maybe I can add some stop signs and some new cars in there. Planning out all of these areas and getting them clean and organized. When is the last time you moved a shelf? Move them shelves around, clean up under them shelves, because I guarantee it's a lot of toys and a lot of dust bunnies under those shelves. Your command station, does it represent you as a teacher, or does it say hot mess? Artwork that you started and didn't finish, and art drying all over the place. Get you a line and hang that stuff up and make it look like this classroom is a work of art. I'm not saying it has to be like extra, extra clean, but make it look like a place that kids want to go. It should look like a work in progress, a art museum, and it's growing and it's blooming and it's developing, but it should be organized in a manner that you know where things are. So move those shelves, look up under them, switch those toys around, and ask yourself, is my command station organized? Is it together? Have I planned out everything from the checklist to what I'm going to be doing in each center, from my small group, my large group lesson, what I'm doing outside, what bulletin boards I'm going to be putting up for the month? Is your command station organized and together? And if your answer is, yeah, maybe, let's get it together. Because everything that I teach you in this is about the interaction with children and spending time learning and developing them and pouring into them. But if you're spending time cutting out stuff in the middle of a lesson, or cleaning up in the middle of a lesson, or putting things back during the lesson, you really cannot engage with young children. They will find a way to do what they want to do because your focus is on something else. And so these things have to be done outside of the learning day, because every moment that you get with those children should be interaction time, not time for you to get your stuff together. You have to have your stuff together when you enter into the classroom and you get into the space, way before any of that. And if you have teachers that are clutter bunnies, bring them to this and get them on this live to watch the playback and let them know, hey, you need to get your classroom organized. You need to get your classroom together. You need to take the time to do the things that I went over in this training. So that is what is important in the command station. So thematic boxes are great. Learning center boxes, prop boxes, having your circle time box together. Like I had a treasure box, and it was a treasure chest. When you open it up, it had all my circle time materials in it. Markers, anything that I need. Chart paper was readily available in that area. But my box had all my colors, my numbers, my shapes. It had my songs. It had my puppets and my cues, and it was already ready to go. And every month I would change out some of the things that were in there, because of course whenever I did shapes in my circle time, I didn't do all the shapes. I just picked like 3 shapes to focus on, a few letters to focus on, and I pulled them out the treasure box. And then once I went over them, I hung them up so that we could revisit them. But the way I introduced them was through the treasure box. It's like circle time should be like 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how. I'm not talking about large group lesson. I'm talking about circle time. And your circle time should not be that long, but it should be organized. And the way I organized mine was like 15 to 20 minutes for my 3-year-olds. It started off at 15. I would have like 2 shapes in there, like 3 letters, like 2 colors, and then a few numbers in there. And then I may have a song in there. And then I had a marker because we did daily news. And so I would pull out those colors, numbers, and we went over them, over them, over them, over them for the whole entire month. Once they retired on my wall, and then the kids would go back and we would go over them. The next month, I would add a couple of more colors, a couple of numbers and shapes. We did not go over every single letter, every single number, every single shape in the morning time, because I would be in circle time for 45 minutes singing the red song, the blue song, the green song, the yellow song, the orange song. I mean, it's just too much. So I would just break it down and put that in my treasure box. And those are the things that I brought out. And I learned that my kids retained the information because we went over it consistently for a month. And then we would review it, and then I would bring them back to the treasure box and pull them out and be like, well, we already did the orange song, but I just want to see if you still remember it. And so I would bring it back to make my circle time more productive, shorter amount of time, and I learned that my kids retain the information longer that way because I wasn't doing every single letter, every single number, every single shape, every single color in my circle time. I only did a select amount of things, and I put that in my planner, and those were the things that I focused on. And my circle time was fun, it's exciting, and it introduced my learning center. I let them go to learning centers. We came back and we did my large group lesson. My large group lesson was content based. It was like either graphing, charting, murals, games, anything that collaboratively brought in the whole group. When I was in my small group lesson, I had my small group, my Ziploc bags with my daily activities on there, and I would open them up and I would have that activity ready to go. Whether my small group was in the math center, the language center, the library, the dramatic play. Yes, I did small group lessons in a dramatic play center. One of my math lessons I actually did in the dramatic play center because the kids love the dolls. So I did my counting activity in the math center. I had like Barbie doll heads and they had ponytails and I had bows on it with numbers and they put that amount of bow rits on the doll's hair. So sometimes I would change the environment, but I didn't change the lesson. I still taught them counting techniques just in a different center. In my block center, when I wanted to do patterns, I had wrapped my blocks in different textures like burlap, bubble wrap, foil, and I had them make patterns using those blocks. So I planned that out and had that ready so that when I went to that center, I'm like, hey guys, guess what we're doing in the block center today? We're learning about patterns. And yes, I may have had some pattern activities in my math center, but I did not just limit my math lessons to the math center. Sometimes I would do them in, like I said, dramatic play in blocks. Sometimes I would do them in the library just to change it up to have kids visit those other centers. So when you're making your lesson plans, think about those other centers that you have in the classroom and how you can reel kids into those centers by having organized activities. So, your command station should be highly organized in a place where kids feel enthused and excited to come to, but it's not cluttery and a hot mess. And speaking of someone who is highly creative, I am a very creative person and I have big messes and different things. But in my clutter and my mess, I have to remember, like when I'm in a classroom, that this has to be organized and kept that way. And I have to be very intentional about it because I am a project based person. So I love to start projects and they'll be right there. And I'm like, don't touch my project. And then, go over here and start another project. And so I have to be very intentional. So as a creative teacher, I know it is easy to have a cluttery environment because you have so many ideas. And so I can teach this because I am a person that goes through that and I have a lot of different projects going on at one time. And if it wasn't for my command station and having things labeled and having things intentionally organized, then I would basically lose control. And it was plenty of times in my classroom that I did lose control because I wasn't organized and I became frustrated and it was just too much. But once I started planning a month ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time, and started organizing, putting stuff together, then that peace and that control came and I could show up every day just ready to play, ready to interact with my kids because everything had been made and done and it's time to have fun. So those are the benefits of organizing your classroom. And how many of y'all want a better day? How many of y'all want to be freed from the craziness of kids running around doing things? And the more controlled and organized your environment are, the better your kids are going to be. And I'm telling you that from the bottom of my heart because I've watched it, I've seen all types of classroom, disorganized classrooms, organized classroom, and classrooms that were too organized and too controlling. So you have to have a balance of those things in your classroom. So I am going to open it up. I have the chat going over on the side. Thank you, Rebecca, on the checklist. I hope you really use it and you like it. I know I'm working for corporate childcare. There are a lot of checklists, but then you also have to have a checklist for your checklist to make sure that those checklists are actually done. So what are some things, some questions that you guys have with getting your classroom organized? Do you have specific things that you want me to go into, that you want to focus? And remember, this is a hot topic. This is all about you guys and answering your questions and your concerns on getting you together. Not just with me sharing what I do in my classroom, but hearing what you do and how I can help you to thrive in your environment. No matter if you work for corporate, whether you work for a privately owned center, or whether it's your center, whether you're at a home center, what are some ways I can get you organized? I know that's a little bit of a lag going on with the Facebook, but I'm gonna go ahead and drop some of those links in the below, and you guys can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the command station. Um, that is a huge problem, Rebecca. Is hold on one second. That is a huge problem that I ran into having the closet spaces, and that's why I went to the Ziploc bags. But with your situation is a little bit interesting because they don't want you to take things home and they don't want you to bring things into the center. And so what I would honestly do is get some Ziploc bags and kind of look at and see what was in your center. I know when I was at the center that I was the director and district manager over, the teachers' cabinets were just like full. Um, um, just full of stuff. And what I asked them to do is like go through it and see if you really need that and see if you could put it into the main resource closet and start organizing your closet or your cabinets that you do have with the things that are actually going to benefit you in the classroom. And so that was the way that I kind of went through and helped a lot of the teachers go through their cabinets and say, hey, what is this? Why is this in here? Why isn't this in the main resource closet? Why is this in your classroom? And and in that way they could organize Ziploc bags or containers or small containers with thematic based things in it. Yeah, you have it on the back side just to have room inside of your classroom. But some ideas for that is actually, I used to make, Lakeshore has these flat bins, and I think I may be able to find them on Amazon. I'll put the link here. But they're really shallow and they have like tops on them, and they are tabletop sensory activities. And so what I did was I had two of them on the shelf and I would rotate them. And then I had my sensory table on the outside or the patio, um it and I would use those sensory tubs in my classroom as a part of my science center as opposed to using the big sensory table because my classroom was so small. And so I had like two of those that I would rotate out, and then I would allow 2 to 3 kids in the center, just to have that sensory experience because my sensory table was just too big for my particular classroom. And so but I did give them that sensory experience by having these, and it's not a regular size tub, it's actually like this thick, and it's real shallow and it has a top over it. I know Lakeshore makes them. I'm sure I can find a link on Amazon and put it in the comments for. I'm going to do a resource in the comments after we get off of this live. And so you guys are going to be able to come back to the live, click on the links, and see some of the resources that I put together for you guys for organization. But so I would have that in my classroom as opposed to the big sensory table. And then when they go outside, they can have that, or on your patio or wherever your sensory table is, they can have the big sensory table as well. Yes, the gallon, and they actually make bigger ones, and they are like I don't even know what they're called, but they have handles on them, and they're like this big, and they're huge Ziploc bags with handles on them. And I would put stuff in there, and then it would compress flatter than a container, and then I could slide it or lay it flat under my cabinet so that I can stack many of them together. But those bags, they come from the Dollar Tree, I believe, but they come like two to a bag, and they have like the jumbo size, and they have like the large size, and I would put resources galore in them and put them under my cabinet. And I know those classrooms are so hard and it's like limited space, but really go back and look through your cabinets and see what's actually in there, and do you really need that in your classroom? Yeah. Let me see. I even put a photo. container inside so we can keep the items together. Yes. Um, yeah, so that when the box gets ruined or whatever, you take a picture, you cut it up, put it on a Ziploc bag so that you know what it is, and you put it in there for storage. And then if you want to rotate the toys, you could take it off, put it up for later. So yeah, we if the box gets ruined, we do that. Or Lakeshore is really good about making like really good containers, and theirs last for a long time. And so even taking a picture of the box and putting it on the Ziploc bag with the items in it is a great way for storing them and putting them away. So I am a fan of the Ziploc bags, the clear containers. Like when I tell you I love the container store, I love the container store. And I have a million containers, clear, big, all of that. And I absolutely love the way that they keep me organized, because without it, I don't think that I could keep all my things and things like that together. I know where you're coming from, Rebecca, when you talk about space, because these centers just don't have teacher storage, and it's like, how do you expect me to make things? And that's why a lot of times when I was in a classroom, I'll be like, okay, let me rotate that out, and I go to my director like, can I just take this home because I don't have no place to put it? And she'd be like, girl, yes, it doesn't even matter. And I would just take my Ziploc bag home and then bring it back. And then when I actually left, I gave a lot of those resources to the teacher that was coming in. Great things, guys. All right. Any other comments? Oh, I saw that Michaels do have those type of bins that are really thin. So my ultimate question from our training tonight, what is one thing that you're going to go back and do to get your command station together? What is one thing that you're going to actually do? I'm going to tell you guys my thing. When I get back to my studio, I'm going to give you guys a full tour of my command station that I put together for my teachers. And so, ideally, for my studio, I wanted it to be a teacher classroom, like a place where it looks like it's resourceful for teachers. Like if a teacher came into my office, would everything be available to them? Would they have like supplies? Would they have like scissors? Would they have a place to make different things? Would they have a place to relax, sing, read books, all of that? And so, ideally, my space that I'm actually creating is a space that when I film and I do things, it is a command station for teachers. And so you guys are like all my babies. And so I want to create a space just for you guys. And so that when I get back, I'm going to do a full out tour of my command station to show you guys how I've organized all my resources and supplies, so that when I do workshops and whenever I go live with you guys, those things are readily available for me to grab and bring on screen and show you exactly what it is I'm talking about or what it is I'm sharing. And also different angles, because if I'm talking about this, I want to be in this part of the studio. If I'm talking about this, it's kind of like learning centers or rotations for my teachers, so that you guys can get different views and different things in the environment. So I am so excited about showing you my command station. I'm so excited about helping share so many things that is coming up with Training You to Succeed. I am like bubbling over right now and trying to keep so many secrets that is like hurting me to not tell everybody what's really going on and what's happening behind the scenes and everything. And you guys are going to be so excited about the things that are coming with Training to Succeed, and the reason why we've been trying to work behind the scenes and get our lives together and get everything. So our command station is definitely coming together. Look, Rebecca's laughing. Yes, yes, yes. It has definitely been, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to tell somebody, 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 and I will soon. But but I'm gonna I'm gonna keep it on tight so that you guys have some exciting things coming your way. And even during this Teacher Appreciation Week, I really hope that you guys had an opportunity to take advantage of the Starbucks gift card If you have not had an opportunity to take care of that, don't worry. I have some more amazing giveaways that I'm going to be doing this week. If anybody on this live knows, I love giveaways and I love to pour into teachers and give back to them because I know how much you actually put into running your classroom. And so I just want to really celebrate you guys this week. So back to my question: what are you going to do in your command station? What is one thing you're going to go back and do in your classroom, from listening to getting organized and getting yourself together? Danielle says, have a checklist for a checklist. Yes, I learned a long time ago. Guys, let me just say, and Kat can relate to this, I worked for a very interesting boss for a long time. A long time. And when I tell you we had a checklist for everything, I think it kind of made me a little extra like I am now, because it was like, do you have a checklist for that? Oh, I got a checklist for the checklist for the checklist for the checklist. And it was just like nonstop. It's like, do you have a checklist for your checklist? Do you have a checklist for that checklist, that checklist? And we had checklists for everything, Excel spreadsheets, everything. Like it had tabs, and we had this system called Reich that we had to put every task into Reich, and run a center and run multiple centers and do a checklist for my centers that don't have a checklist, that has a checklist but don't know that they have a checklist, and they're gonna learn they have a checklist. And so yeah, it was literally, and I think, and as crazy as it sounds, it actually made me as sharp as I am today. Like, I don't play. And I think it was like some of those habits that were drilled into your mind, and you're like, okay, you have to inspect what you expect. And I have a video talking about that I'm about to put out. Because if you don't, people like, if you do it for children, you definitely have to do it for adults. And so I think that those checklists helped me to like not think that just because there's a checklist in place that that person is going to actually follow that checklist. And it helped me see like the mindset as something totally different. And it also changed my mind as a teacher as well, because I'm like, okay, I can't just expect these kids are going to do it because I told them. I have to have some type of follow-up system in place. Literally, I have an Excel spreadsheet for everything. Yeah, it'll teach you that. You have to have these systems in place. So, Rebecca, I am actually going to go back to see what I need and what I don't need for the 100th time. Guys, it is so hard to depart, to separate yourself from things that are in your classroom. It's like, no, but I made this 10 years ago and it belongs to me. So just kind of like sift through that and find out what things can you store somewhere else and what things can you actually keep in the classroom. And I guarantee you, it is some things that you may need to say, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and just be like, I'm taking this out. This has to go. This has to go back to the main closet. This has to go back to another classroom. This has to be so that I can have room to grow. Because if you guys stay cluttered in those little bitty cabinets, you have no room to grow with new relevant activities. It just can't happen. So ask yourself, what the heck is in those cabinets? Open them up, look at it, and ask yourself, am I really going to use this right now? Can this not go on the shelf right now? How can I rotate that? Yeah, donate to another classroom. Put it back in the main closet and see what things you can rotate, because you need room for growth. You don't want your classroom to become stale. You want it to be rotated and have life going on, and don't think that you have to, you know, we used to like hold everything in your closet. I just we used to call them hoarders, classroom hoarders. You go in there and be like, that's what a paint was. Oh, you got like 90 paintbrushes in here. What's going on? This needs to go back. And the teachers are like literally in tears because they don't want to let go of what's in the classroom. And I'm like, but you can always go get it from the main closet. I just want to make room for you to be able to grow. So just really honestly take a look at your environment and really see what things you can let go of. And I guarantee you, if you want to do a FaceTime with me, Rebecca, let me go through it. And let me tell you what to get rid of, because I'm a non-biased party. And I can say go, go, go. And you'll be like, oh, Miss Carolyn. But we got to make room for all the wonderful things that you're going to be adding to your environment. All right. Any more people? Tell me some amazing things that you're gonna do. Yes. Yes, send me a video of your classroom. I can tell you, Rebecca, whenever you send the video on Facebook, like in our messengers where we do our messengers, you do have to break those videos down because I remember I was trying to make the video for you and I was like, it's not loading, it's too long. So, yes, maybe do it center by center and say, hey, Carolyn, here's my resource closet. Hey, Carolyn, here is my math center, my learning center. And that's anybody that's on this call. If you need a fresh set of eyes and you go into my inbox and message, I will go through your classroom and tell you, hey, that needs to, you need to up that level. And I'm very objective with it. And maybe like, well, really? I'm yes, I will go through that and give you feedback on your classroom. And that is an amazing idea, Rebecca. Thank you so much for saying that, and saying that you're willing to do that because a lot of people are like, I don't want Miss Carolyn in my classroom. She may know I'm here to help you and give you a fresh set of eyes and a new perspective for your classroom and maybe even some ideas that you may have never thought about and some organizational ideas in rotating your classroom. Like one of the things that I was known for in corporate childcare is I can go in and set up a classroom like that. And a teacher will be like, I never could see this for my classroom. Room arrangement and room organization is one of my strong points. Potty training too, but room arrangement and classroom setup is something that I'm very strong at and have an eye for doing for teachers. No matter if it's an infant room, toddler room, preschool room, I can walk in a classroom and rearrange a classroom and your classroom will flow like never before. It's just a new perspective and it's just the way of like how I see things when it comes to kids in a classroom. So I would love to give you feedback on your classroom. Yes, I always rotated my classroom, putting new things in there, setting up new learning centers, setting up new organization, making enrichments for my classroom. That was something that was on my lesson plan was to rearrange and set up my classroom. And the kids would walk in and they'd be like, oh, it's new in here. And I'm like, yeah, I switched things around again. And they would get so excited about seeing the new classroom and the new adventures that was going on in the classroom. And I don't see that in centers as much as I used to. And I really want to bring that back to the early childhood field. It's like being that hands on teacher that actually gets in there and move around your classroom, having fun. That's why teachers feel so burnt out. It's because they're not having fun in their classroom anymore. They're not doing things. It's like the thrill is gone. The thrill is gone. So it's time to kind of reinvent that and get that back in the classroom. And for your teachers, Kat, giving them that excitement, not just going in the classroom and doing it for them, but like, hey, okay, let's get in this classroom, let's rearrange some things. And that kind of rejuvenates teachers and get them back excited about doing things in their classroom. Okay, on a potty issue, yes. Go ahead and inbox me, Rebecca, and I will give you feedback on that. For that. So, guys, here's the thing. I know I have how many people on here tonight? Five. Not sure who's all on, but if you have questions and you don't feel comfortable asking them in our hot topic feed, you can always inbox me. If you inbox training to succeed or message training to succeed, I am the one who answers those messages. And I try within 24 hours to get back with you, either with a response or a video or something to kind of help support you. As this community gets a little bit bigger, it may be a little bit of delay, but I am committed to making sure that all my students that are in my community are being taken care of. And so if you have questions on an old topic or a topic that you see coming up and we're not talking about it on this hot topic, it doesn't matter. That is what training you to succeed is for, because the you and the training to succeed is actually you. And we want to make sure you thrive in your classroom. And there are going to be some things that I just don't cover. And you want to ask that question, but maybe you don't feel comfortable asking that question here in this community right now. Inbox me and let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as possible with feedback, a video, or any concerns that you may have so that I can give you the best answer possible. And there may be things that I may not be able to answer correctly or give you the right feedback based on your environment, but I will give you tips to help you find out what answer is best for you. So before I actually check out tonight, or before I actually leave tonight, and in our command station, in alignment with this training, is support for other teachers who are clutters. If you are an organized teacher, I want to challenge you during the week of teacher appreciation to go in and help a teacher who may be struggling. I know it's like, oh my God, I got to worry about my classroom. But just take 10 minutes. Either write that teacher a note or give her something from your classroom that will help her get organized, and just tell her that you are there to help her and support her. You're taking time out of your busy nights or whatever to attend this training and get more information that maybe that teacher just doesn't have that push to actually do. So just take a pen and paper, write them a note and say, hey, I'm here. Here's some tips that I want to give you to help get you organized. Buy her a drink, a Sonic drink or a Coke or whatever it may be. Give it to her with a note and let her know that you are there to support her. And you just don't know how that would make a person's day. So if each person that is on this training tonight goes back to their school and they do that for at least one teacher, and then at the bottom of the note tell that teacher, please pick another teacher to pass this on to, and then that teacher picks another teacher, and this goes on. Imagine how many teachers we can impact. From the 5 that are on here, that is 10 teachers that are going to be impacted this week from a personal note from you. And I want you guys to just message me and let me know if you actually took me up on that challenge. You are a teacher and you will be appreciated, but don't forget to appreciate other teachers. Don't forget to pour into other people. And these trainings aren't just for you, they're for your community and the people who could not be there as well. So I take time to pour into you. Please take your time to pour into other people who are not available and who cannot be on these hot topics as well. And just imagine the force and the impact that we can actually make in the world if we become those individuals that pour into other people. So, it's teacher appreciation, and I thank you guys. I hope that you got something new, learned something from this training. You're ready to go back. Check out the comments. I'm going to be in the comments again tonight, posting links to some of the things that I mentioned to you in your command station. And understand this: a teaching is not just an investment of your time working in the classroom, but it's an investment of your time and your resources outside of the classroom. So I know teachers don't make that much money, but it's okay to spend a little bit on your students and spend a little bit on yourself to make sure that you have the things that you need in your classroom to be successful. So, any additional questions before I get out? I am going to, like I said, post those resources tonight for you guys to actually use. And everyone, if you would drop your name in the comments right now, Danielle, if you would make note of everyone who comments. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to drop your name. Just say, I'm here. It should be 5 I'm here's. Well, 4 I'm here's because Danielle wouldn't be included. And Danielle, get them because as soon as I put out my insert of the teacher planner sheet, you guys will be the first ones that will be PDFs and sent to your inbox for free for you to print and put in your happy planner. So, Danielle, get all the I'm here names, write them down, and these are the people who are going to get that resource that I talked about that we're coming out with that will help you do your planning for your classroom, for your happy planner as well. And then, as a part of teacher appreciation, I am going to make sure that your guys' names go into my big drawing that is going to be released at the end of this week so that you have multiple entries in there just for attending our hot topic this week. So, again, thank you guys so much for being a part of the Training to Succeed community, tapping in, listening to what I have to tell you about creating that powerful command station. And we will take off from there. So, this is Training You to Succeed. We will end our hot topic if there is no additional questions. And feel free to inbox, comment, and let me know if there's anything you need to make your command, your classroom command station, the best place possible. Talk to you guys soon.